the Serengeti is the ultimate sanctuary on Earth. The predators. Yet it remains the most fragile landscape for the cubs. They can be detected and targeted at any moment. How will the strongest animals of the savannah act to ensure their legacy continues? In the realm of the ultimate predators, she is solitary. This is quite unconventional for a lion in the Serengeti. Being apart from the pride means finding nourishment is more challenging than ever. This is the season of migration. She is carrying new life, which makes this pursuit of endurance more profound than ever. Fortunately, she will find abundance. Before seeking a sanctuary fit for the arrival of her young. The savannah stretches empty. Grass, water, wind, everything is parched. The wildebeest have crossed the river. They departed when the last rains ceased. 1 month earlier, a lioness slipped away from the pride in silence. This is instinct. A pregnant lioness seeks the periphery of the territory, between 16 and 24 kilometers from the pride and a concealed den. She gave birth to a litter alone inside a dense thicket at the edge of the territory. Each cub is born weighing approximately 1.5 kilograms. Blind, with folded ears. For the first 10 days, the senses are barely functional. Body temperature cannot yet self-regulate. She leaves the den on average every 6 hours for no more than 20 minutes. She will nurse 4 cubs independently until approximately 8 weeks of age. Between 3 and 4 weeks, the cubs begin to walk. First steps are unsteady. The mother does not intervene. This is the first measured distance between protection and release. The greatest threat to the den is scent. To a mature spotted hyena, nothing remains concealed as long as the wind carries a signal. Its nose carries approximately 1,000 highly sensitive olfactory receptors, and the brain is structured as a dedicated scent processing system. Simply stated, within days of birth, a litter of lion cubs is broadcasting a strong olfactory signal. As a result, Every 4 to 7 days, she relocates the cubs to a new position. The jaws that have secured prey now handle the most fragile of lives with precision. Then, on a night in late April, heavy rain descends across the basin. Every species receives the rains with relief, except the solitary mother. Around her thicket, grasses have grown dense and the ground has turned to marsh. This growth brings multiple threats for the young. Even the cold wind following rain is sufficient to cause hypothermic stress. The mother searches across the expanded marsh. She carries them to higher ground. One cub, the weakest of the litter, does not survive the cold. There is nothing more she can do but continue. By the 5th week, the legs have steadied. The mother allows the cubs to walk independently. She will guide them on a new journey. By the 6th week, the lioness begins the pride introduction. This is the most strategically significant phase of the entire rearing process. She brings the cubs closer to the pride's territory, where they will meet particular individuals, the aunts. The lioness introduces the cubs to the females and their offspring first. If those lionesses accept and nurse the cubs, the pride will accept them. If they do not, she will attempt again the following week. The first meeting is critical. The lionesses greet one another through head rubbing. The cubs hold their tails low. They integrate quickly among their cousins. The first introduction is successful. The bonds formed with their cousins will develop into a formidable coalition in later years. The other lionesses remain with them for several days. There remains one encounter before they become full members of the pride. Week 7. The pride is not only a protective structure, it is also a school of predation. The first lesson arrives in the morning. The mother identifies a warthog. A warthog is an agile target. Maximum speed, 48 kilometers per hour. Curved tusks measuring 20 centimeters, and experienced individuals will charge directly at an approaching lion. Rather than flee, only persistence can secure the meal. The lioness moves in silence through the tall grass. They are not permitted to descend. With the precision of experience, the mother completes the hunt within 90 seconds. The adult warthog is sufficient for this first hunt after the birth. In the first seconds, the mother's predatory instinct does not share. But then, the pride instinct returns. Even the youngest among them will receive their first exposure to the reward of a successful hunt. After the kill, the females return together. The remaining members of the pride await them. The Serengeti is the domain of apex predators, but it is also the stage of the greatest migration on the African continent. With herbivore populations reaching into the millions, lion prides can grow substantially, forming what researchers describe as super prides of 20 to 30 individuals. The pride to which the lioness returns is a characteristic extended family. 4 allied males and 6 females. Together, they maintain a territory with offspring at every stage of development. Cohesion is essential, particularly among the dominant males. They maintain close physical and social bonds. The affiliative behaviors between them are observed and learned by the young. The lioness has returned, and her cubs cannot wait any longer to make their introductions. The older cubs appear comfortable with the energy of the new arrivals. Even the subadults seek to engage with them. But the mother responds with a sharp warning to one, concerned that this juvenile has not yet mastered its own strength. These early bonds will become something stronger, coalitions like those their fathers have formed. The return to the pride is only the first chapter in the survival of these young lions across the Savanna. What follows is the harder test. The mothers must hunt and protect simultaneously. In the wild, precision in any encounter is the product of accumulated experience. For the young, every attempt becomes a lesson drawn from direct consequence. Like adolescents in many species, these young lions are enthusiastic but lacking in technique. At this stage, they will attempt almost anything. But when the encounter begins, enthusiasm alone is insufficient. Baboons spend the majority of their foraging hours on the ground, but at the approach of danger. They ascend to the trees and use the vertical terrain to their advantage. Although adult lionesses are capable climbers, the young are not. They have not yet learned to coordinate their own agile frames. Their intended quarry appears unconcerned. The baboon is itself an opportunistic predator and recognizes when an opponent is overextended. Experienced lions rarely pursue baboons. These juveniles are about to discover why. The baboon has its own method of discouraging inexperienced pursuers. For additional certainty, it deploys a chemical deterrent. Before this combination, the larger juveniles withdraw without delay. They have learned a costly lesson. Baboons are not to be underestimated. But not all threats originate from predators. Some come from herbivores with long memories. The mother's return to the pride does not eliminate the need for vigilance over the cubs. They will be watched by the other females, but not continuously. And because she is an essential part of the hunting coalition, the cubs must manage on their own, in one way or another. They play alongside their cousins, within sight of a single attending female. Before the hunt, the lionesses leave the cubs in a grass thicket. They do not know that the territory has visitors. A Cape buffalo herd of approximately 200 individuals, each adult averaging between 500 and 900 kilograms, has entered the territory since the previous night. In Swahili, they are known as Nyati, documented for their unpredictable aggression. But it is not the aggression that concerns the pride. It is what researchers describe as retaliatory memory. On documented occasions, buffalo herds have actively sought out and eliminated lion cubs following a kill made on one of their members. A lioness encounters a buffalo calf separated from the herd. Alone. The hunting females see the opportunity. They failed. The full herd has now assembled. They charge in combination, driving the lions off. Then the herd moves in a different direction. The lions do not give chase. No vulnerable individual has been identified. Engaging a healthy adult is too costly. But the mothers register something. That dark mass is moving toward the location where the cubs were left. Cortisol levels surge. They run back, but they are too late. The buffalo herd has moved directly through the place where the cubs were concealed. What follows is the elimination of a predator bloodline through sheer mass and momentum. At a stampede speed of 40 kilometers per hour, if a mass exceeding 500 kilograms falls across a small body, the probability of survival approaches zero. One cub does not survive. A second is driven into the mud. Its rear leg is fractured. Then, a faint call from a distant thorn stand. One cub has survived. Others emerge gradually alongside the females. The mothers who have lost young remain with the surviving ones. The pride's future continues. Retribution is a human word. But in the Cape buffalo, an unnamed equivalent persists within the neural memory of the herd. Following the loss, the pride requires a low-risk meal, and the grassland offers a rare interval of calm. An elephant herd has arrived, leading recently born calves on their journey toward water. After 2 weeks without incident, the pride directs its attention toward adult ostriches near the edge of the plain. An adult ostrich weighs in excess of 100 kilograms. The force of a single kick from its hoof is sufficient to fracture the rib cage of an adult lion. It is not an easy outcome to achieve. The carcass provides sufficient sustenance for 2 days. The lionesses nurse one another's cubs. Communal care is a function of the pride structure. Cubs do not distinguish their biological mother when feeding. This is a rare characteristic among felids. But the trait that most profoundly shapes this species' sociality goes deeper than any other adaptation. Sharing milk is sharing the risk of extinction. A cub at 6 months, 3 months after pride integration, is now large enough to begin practical hunting exercises. The ostrich carcass does not provide only nutrition, it functions as a training instrument. The cub is too small to hunt alongside the pride, but through wrestling over the carcass, through pounces, misdirected bites, and experimental vocalizations that lack the depth of a full roar, the cub is learning to stalk, to launch forward, and to hold. This is one of the most sophisticated forms of skill transfer among non-linguistic mammals. The success rate of a cub's first solo hunt without prior practice is approximately 8%. Following 20 supervised practice sessions on a prey carcass, that rate rises to approximately 35%. 70% of lion cubs acquire the throat grip technique through observation combined with practice before their first participation in a real hunt at 10 to 12 months. An additional 18 to 24 months follow to learn the full pride repertoire, how to read the wind, how to read other pride members, and how to recognize when not to engage. Today, there is still time to practice with ostrich feathers. The favorable months at Masai Mara will extend a few weeks further. The cubs will continue learning through play until their parents impose the discipline that shapes them into the ultimate predators of the Savanna. The two pressures in the preceding section arrived from outside their own species. But the greatest pressure faced by a lion cub comes by a measure of tragedy from within its own species. The Savanna is in constant motion. The first rains of the season reach the Serengeti. Within 10 days, the grass turns green. The wildebeest, part of the 1.5 million strong migration between the Serengeti and Masai Mara, return from the north. Calves stay pressed close to their mothers as they run. Another pride also has recently born cubs. This young mother brought her litter back to the pride early. She is inexperienced and requires the support of older females. She cannot avoid the hunt, and she must maintain milk production for the active cubs. The land to which the wildebeest are returning is productive. They occupy this space in the interval of calm, before millions of ungulates and zebra arrive. A female cheetah has recently given birth to 2 cubs. Their silver dorsal mantle closely resembles the coloring of the honey badger, but she has detected the outline of spotted hyenas nearby. She returns to the thicket, carefully moving what is most precious to her, to a location further from the threat. The lion pride is aware that the antelope have returned. They set out for the hunt early this morning. The little ones are left behind on a rocky ledge sheltered by shrubs and trees. The lioness conducts the pursuit in 3 stages: selecting a target, approaching unseen, and only one chance to make her move. This meal will sustain the extended family for 2 days because the prize is shared equally, even with those who stayed behind. Serengeti, during these 2 weeks, plentiful. As the herd moves, the cubs have been drawn to a strange creature. A puff adder. The little one is playing with fire. A single tiny nip is enough to cause a grave mistake. 2 fangs serve as a most formidable pair of needles. Cytotoxin enters the cornea. The cub does not falter immediately, but a mechanism is spreading. The bitten cub's condition declines. It has lost sight in one eye. Fur falls out in patches. By the 9th day, the cub falls behind. The mother lioness calls out. The cub cannot keep up. The pride cannot stop. The child who cannot walk is an anchor for the whole family. The cub lies down on the coarse earth. The pride fades into the distance. The dominant male slows at the rear. The pride shares a collective cost, but they must remain functionally strong. And as the dominant male carries his own weight of loss, the greatest pressure on the cubs is approaching from another direction. George Bertram documented this phenomenon in 1975 at the Serengeti. When a new male coalition takes over a pride, they eliminate cubs younger than 9 months within the first days of the takeover. A nursing lioness will not return to estrus for up to 2 years. If the new coalition waits 2 years, they risk displacement before producing their own offspring. If they eliminate the existing cubs, the lioness returns to estrus within 48 hours. This is an evolutionary equation, high in cost, but internally consistent. From the perspective of the incoming male's genetic interest, investing in the survival of unrelated cubs represents a direct reproductive loss. The previous coalition had maintained stable control for 3 years. 2 males, brothers. The nomadic group consists of 3 young males, aged 5 to 6 years. The coalition formed after all 3 were expelled from their birth pride. They have covered 64 kilometers over 8 weeks. They arrive on a Saturday morning. The confrontation is loud and prolonged. The mother anticipated the old coalition's withdrawal. She and two other lionesses form a female coalition. The experienced females confront the young males. To buy time, the incoming coalition is searching for the cubs. The frightened cubs are detected when they move from the grass thicket to find the mother. The mother drives the males away with aggression. They withdraw temporarily, but they have already made their presence felt. What was anticipated has occurred. She must carry this and continue moving before the incoming males locate them. This is not a failure of the lioness. This is one of the most powerful selective pressures shaping the social evolution of the African lion. The takeover passes, but the dry season has not yet relented. At the final convergence point of all species, a final pressure waits. The end of the dry season, 40 consecutive days without rain. The lionesses have regrouped following the withdrawal of the nomadic males. 3 cubs remain. The entire pride is concentrated at the single functioning waterhole within a radius of 9.6 kilometers. All others have dried. Within the reed beds, an African rock python measuring 5 meters in length has remained concealed for 3 days. The python does not hunt as the lion does. No pursuit, no vocalization, only waiting. One of the 3 lion cubs detects the python. She attempts to intimidate it, but this python has gone without a meal for too long. A 5-month-old lion cub carries considerably more curiosity and boldness than hunting strategy. The python does not hold. It strikes and bites the cub across the face. When the cry of pain sounds, the other cubs arrive without delay. The python is forced to withdraw and moves away into the reeds. The cubs groom and settle against one another. Their number is small and cohesion is necessary. If you have followed this far, share your observations on these cubs in the comments. Like and subscribe so you do not miss the next episode on African lion behavior. Do not leave. The survival story of these animals continues ahead. The python and the lion are only one story among many unfolding simultaneously on the grassland. Across 4 other ecosystems on the same continent, 4 other mothers are solving the same problem in 4 different ways. The first belongs to a single mother. Only 30% of cheetah cubs survive to adulthood. This figure comes from the Cheetah Conservation Fund, led by Laurie Marker in Namibia. Solitary motherhood carries a high evolutionary cost, but it is the cost of maintaining the fastest pure sprint specialist among all felids. The cheetah mother is raising a litter of 4 cubs, 1 female, 3 males. They are 4 months old, past the stage of full dependence on nursing, but not yet capable of hunting. The cubs carry a silver dorsal mantle of longer fur along the spine, a feature described by Eaton in 1976. That functions as mimicry of the honey badger's coloration. The honey badger is among the most aggressive animals relative to its body mass. Other predators have evolved a general avoidance response toward it. Cheetah cubs carry this silver mantle to approximately 3 months of age. It then fades. During those 3 months, the cub is afforded indirect protection by the reputation of another species entirely. The cheetah mother accelerates from 0 to 60 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds. Peak speed exceeds 100 kilometers per hour, but the sprint lasts only 20 to 30 seconds before core body temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius, and she is forced to stop. The cubs follow. They arrive at the location 90 seconds after the mother. The cheetah mother does not feed immediately. She teaches through direct tactile feedback. The cheetah is the only felid documented teaching cubs in this way. The greatest challenge for a cheetah is not securing prey, it is retaining it. The cheetah mother assesses in 3 seconds a 40-kilogram cheetah with small cubs against 2 hyenas weighing 68 kilograms each. She will not risk a confrontation. She yields the kill. This strategic submission is one of the reasons the cheetah survives. The Cheetah Conservation Fund records that 13% of cheetah kills are lost to kleptoparasitism, but direct mortality from conflicts with other predators stands at only 0.3%. The cheetah's survival strategy is not combat. It is knowing when not to engage. The cheetah's claws are non-retractable. They wear down quickly and are not sharp enough for climbing to significant heights. But a tree remains the safest location for a 3-month cub. The mother leads them to a low acacia with branches under 60 centimeters from the ground. That night, there is no prey, but the family remains together, complete. Where the cheetah resolves its equation through withdrawal, the hippopotamus resolves through mass. And at times, mass itself becomes the danger. Zambia, the Luangwa River. September, the dry season has entered its 4th month. The river has contracted. Mud provides protection from the heat. Hippos depend on submersion to survive. Their skin contains no effective sweat glands. Prolonged sun exposure causes heat damage to the skin. The surface temperature of the Luangwa in the dry season exceeds 40 degrees Celsius. Dried mud surfaces can reach 60 degrees. Approximately 40,000 hippos live along the Luangwa. The largest population on the continent, all must concentrate into the remaining deep water pools. This is a spatial crisis that requires no language to communicate. A hippo's canine teeth measure 50 centimeters. The mouth can open to 150 degrees. The bond between a hippo mother and calf is strong. She does not permit other hippos to approach the calf during the first 2 weeks. The calf rests on the mother's back when sleeping in shallow water. Each dominant male occupies approximately 90 meters of river, with a group of 10 to 15 females and their calves. In the dry season, the distances between territories compress. Males must move in closer proximity. Agitation spreads through the mud. On Friday afternoon, an alpha weighing 1,450 kilograms and a challenger at 1,315 kilograms begin their contest. Hippo males fight for dominance in the dry season. To control reproduction within the pod, one opens its mouth in a display of threat. A small hippo calf, 27 kilograms, 10 days old, still attached to the mother. It is in the wrong location, at the wrong moment. During a dominance fight, a hippo male cannot process the fine details of the surrounding environment. This is also why dominance contests frequently carry collateral costs. The calf does not survive. Grief behavior persists for several days before she stops attempting to rouse the calf. She then prepares for the possibility of another. Calf mortality in the dry season attributable to male dominance fights accounts for 8 to 12% of total hippocalf mortality in drought years. This is a figure that no zoology textbook places in emphasis. Within the same contracted river system, another threat waits beneath the surface: the Mara River, Kenya. Crocodiles and hippos generally coexist without conflict. This is an ancient arrangement. The hippo is dominant in shallow water. The crocodile holds dominance in depth. For the most part, they do not intersect, an equilibrium expressed not in language, but in scale. An adult hippo can bisect a 2.7-meter Nile crocodile. The bite force is sufficient to fracture the crocodile's rib cage. The crocodile is aware of this. They do not pursue adult hippos, but a calf is a different calculation. A 3.7-meter adult Nile crocodile takes the hippo calf. While the mother has moved to find grass on the bank, the mother returns to find the calf. Finding nothing, she cannot identify what has happened. There are too many possible sources of threat. She continues to search. What remains of the calf surfaces? The crocodile waits for the mother to move away. A crocodile's jaw cannot cut through fresh tissue cleanly. Its teeth are built to hold, not to divide. But once the carcass has softened, the crocodile applies the death roll. Within one day, nothing remains. The hippo mother remains for one additional day. Then she returns to the pod. The Mara River does not allow prolonged reflection. And even the species regarded as the predatory machine of the waterway, the Nile crocodile, has its version of motherhood. At the end of the dry season, a female Nile crocodile excavates an egg chamber 50 centimeters deep in the elevated sandy soil of the riverbank. She deposits 40 to 60 eggs over a single night. Incubation temperature determines sex. Eggs maintained between 31 and 33 degrees Celsius will become male. Outside this range, most will become female. This is temperature-dependent sex determination, a system that shifting climates could disrupt in a way that leaves no turning back. She does not leave the nest for 80 days. She does not eat. She lives off stored fat, shedding about 20% of her body weight during this brooding phase. This is the longest duration that an African reptile voluntarily refrains from food. A level of maternal devotion that is a tall order even for many mammals. The big day has arrived. Hatchlings make high-pitched calls from within their shells. An acoustic signal she has tuned her hearing to catch from beneath 50 centimeters of sand. The hatchlings nestle into the gular pouch beneath her tongue. Jaws meant for strength are now the safest sanctuary. She carries 10 hatchlings per trip. Total time from opening the nest to everyone reaching the water, about 2 hours. This is among the most refined post-birth care behaviors ever documented in any living reptile. In the water, she forms a nursery group, a sheltered area she keeps under her wing for the first 2 weeks. After that, the hatchlings are on their own. First-year loss of life, 95%. Due to birds, fish, monitors, and natural mishaps. From 50 eggs produced, only 1 to 2 individuals might reach maturity. The mother crocodile's equation is solved through strength in numbers rather than guarding each one individually. The lioness solves it through high investment in a select few, the cheetah through solitary vigilance, the hippo through a physical bond, the leopard through height. 5 mothers, 5 languages. The same challenge. The Savanna shows us there is no one-size-fits-all solution. 100 lion cubs born in the Masai Mara. How many will see the dry season come to a close? The Serengeti Lion Project, 6 decades of continuous data since George Schaller in 1966, allows for quite precise calculations. Roughly 50 to 70 cubs do not make it past their first year. 30 to 50 cubs weather the storm to reach their first birthday. 1/4 from a coalition takeover. 1/5 from the lean times of the dry season. 15% from other hunters of the plains. 10% from health struggles and mishaps. The grasslands do not just measure perfection, they measure what is functional. The Masai Mara has seen its lion population reduced by 50% over the last 20 years, yet they beat the odds to remain the most resilient and clever survivors of the Savanna. No matter the territory, no matter the rivals they face. At Ruaha National Park, there exists an exception that defies every natural law. Welcome to the Glade, a serene bend along the Goosey River. The Glade Pride, a flourishing family. The baboons are also present, staying in close proximity. Here, the Glade Pride adheres to a genetic code, never to pursue the baboon troop. This unspoken truce carries strict conditions for both parties. As a favored destination for herbivores, the Glade by nature should be a scene of intense conflict. Yet the sight of the baboons moving at ease has provided a curious sense of security. The kudu are the most cautious beings. They are incredibly difficult to approach. At the mere sound of a small snapping twig, the kudu will vanish. The baboons are fulfilling their part of the arrangement, acting as the silent betrayers. The kudu has chosen this spot for its rest, an anticipated lapse in judgment. A greater kudu provides over 100 kilograms of sustenance. The lions find their fulfillment, while the baboons remain secure. Machiavellian intelligence, a concept established by primatologists Andrew Whiten and Richard Byrne in 1988, a form of intellect refined for influence, strategic deception, and the establishment of authority within intricate societies. In a baboon troop, sovereignty stems from the capacity to navigate social politics. They possess a deep awareness of social hierarchy, performing every action to solidify their standing. But the treaty between the lion and the baboon has its boundaries, when a lion transgresses those limits. When a solitary lion intercepts a baboon infant, or when circumstances press the troop into a corner, The truce dissolves entirely, and the baboons respond in a manner that no other herbivore on the savanna would dare. They offer a counter-encounter. In nearly 15% of documented cases where lions approach baboons, the troop does not flee but organizes a structured response. 2 to 5 mature males charge directly toward the approaching lion, while the rest of the troop guides the young and the females toward the high trees. Coordinated vocalizations echo across the land. Pressure from multiple directions forces the lion, though mightier than any individual baboon, to manage simultaneous threats from angles it cannot defend at once. 60% of these counter-encounters end with the lion choosing to withdraw, sometimes carrying lasting reminders of the engagement. Yet of all the actions baboons have displayed toward lions, none has puzzled primatologists more than a scene recorded in July 2020 at Kruger National Park, South Africa. A mature male baboon was seen cradling, grooming, and protecting a newly born lion cub. Not an intervention, nor a search for sustenance, but an act of cradling. This behavior, known as allamothering or caring for the young of another species, has been documented fewer than 10 times globally. Scientific explanations remain a subject of graceful debate. Perhaps the male baboon is expressing a nurturing instinct triggered toward the wrong subject, or perhaps it is a more complex social gesture, a way of affirming presence by holding the offspring of its most formidable neighbor. Whatever the reason, the outcome remained the same. The young lion was later returned safely. But that image, an ancient adversary resting in the arms of its neighbor, remains a question that science has yet to fully resolve. A large Chakma baboon weighs approximately 40 kilograms, a significant disparity in stature. Yet when the baboon stands upon 2 legs, a young lioness perceives a sense of intimidation. She must call for assistance. To the more seasoned lionesses, the baboon is merely a master of illusion. It retreats into the thicket, nurturing a plan of reclamation through a quiet abduction. But it cannot boldly approach where the lion pride is resting. Nor does it possess the strength to engage the juvenile lions. They are entering their season of learning. Suddenly, a familiar sound emerges. She is quite solitary, weary from the journey of bringing new life into the world. The little ones of the sovereign weigh only about 2 kilograms, tiny and delicate. Baboons are omnivorous beings. They are particularly adept at perceiving those who are fragile. Another female warrior has arrived. The troop departs, except for one. But the baboon must remain out of their sight. The faint cries of the cub will not reach the ears of its mother. Soon, without the warmth and nourishment of its mother, it will no longer be able to call for grace. Machiavellian intelligence, mobbing tactics, and alliances with lions, all of these serve their greatest purpose when the adversary is visible and predictable. However, the leopard represents the most rigorous challenge precisely because it does not follow those conventions. This is the most incredible large feline on the planet, a resilient survivor. Present from humid tropical forests and harsh high mountains to diverse ecosystems spanning multiple continents. Unconstrained by any fixed menu, the leopard possesses an expansive list of nourishment sources. The wise primate cannot utilize cooperative tactics with this pursuer, for the leopard is a solitary wanderer. Smaller and more agile than a lion, this relentless seeker includes the baboon on its list of potential harvests. The night is its preferred time for the quest. Darkness. It is difficult for a creature of the daylight to withstand one of the most excellent seekers of the night. During the day, baboons do not retreat. Even when alone, the baboon demonstrates its inner strength. Mature male Cape baboons with exceptionally high levels of testosterone will not flee from a female leopard or a young male. Research at the Kruger Conservation Area confirms, during the day, the success rate of a leopard seeking a mature baboon within a troop is nearly zero. Baboons account for less than 5% of a leopard's diet in most regions, because the energy cost is simply too high. But seasoned males are different. They know how to create disarray within the baboon troop, and they act before the subject perceives their presence. Lion, cheetah, leopard. Before those pursuers, the baboon can negotiate, counter-encounter, or at least initiate an orderly withdrawal. The crocodile does not grant the baboon that opportunity. If the secret is revealed, the pursuit usually concludes without result, as the baboon is far too swift upon the earth. But when the baboon bows down to drink at the riverbank, its focus is diminished. At Sava West, water is the essence of life, and the Nile crocodile governs this realm. In those brief moments of drinking, concentration wavers, and that is all a seeker requires. The bite force of a crocodile is the most powerful in the animal kingdom. The only reason this yellow baboon remains breathing is the specific stature of the crocodile. The baboon troop remains present, for while there is breath, there is hope for a resolution. Fortunately, it will take some time before it finds the courage to return to this riverbank. But the relationship between the baboon and the crocodile is not always one-sided. There is a phase of the year when the balance of power shifts. From July to September in East Africa, the female depositing 40 to 80 eggs and remains on guard throughout the 80 to 90 days of incubation. The mother crocodile abstains from nourishment entirely during that time, losing up to 30% of her body weight. This is the only period in her life when she is no longer the perfect ambush seeker. She is bound strictly to a fixed location. The baboon is aware of this phase. The success rate of such raids reaches up to 75%. Yet baboons cannot always avoid the water's edge. During the dry season, baboon troops must journey to find new sources of water. Sometimes this means they must cross the river. The journey across the water is the most precarious moment, and despite every careful step, an encounter still occurs. The strike occurs before the baboon's mind can process the signal of transition. Once the baboon has been drawn into the water, the advantage rests entirely with the crocodile. All that has helped the baboon flourish through millions of years. All become quiet. This is the primary boundary that intellect cannot transcend. If the crocodile exploits environmental vulnerabilities, the African rock python takes advantage of something even more unsettling: the blind spot. The python is an ambush predator that remains patient for the right moment. They wait for the monkeys to come to them. No discernible scent, no sound, no movement. The baboon has yet to develop a countermeasure for a creature that stays perfectly still. Pythons are highly sensitive to vibrations and scents, using their tongues to sense a baboon troop drawing near. When a youngster or a female enters close range, the python strikes with a speed that the human eye can barely track. This bite carries no toxic harm, but it secures the target and ensures there is no getaway. Research suggests pythons can sense a pulse through their skin, and they tighten their grip with every heartbeat until the pulse fades. The immense pressure causes the baboon to lose consciousness much faster than through a lack of air alone. Nothing can be done to aid its escape. The rock python has no fixed zone of concern. They could be anywhere. No warning signs that there is no path to safety once the coils have been set. Emerging from the hazy veil of dust is the low profile of a warthog. This humble resident acts as an accidental engineer of the plains. Despite the intense heat rising from the ground, they work tirelessly without a break. Their persistent digging in the parched earth is a testament to a powerful survival instinct. Their toolkit may be simple, but it operates with truly remarkable efficiency. The combination of a keen nose and curved tusks creates a perfect navigation system for finding routes. Deep beneath the packed surface, succulent tubers wait to be uncovered. Under the pressure of strong tusks, the dry earth crumbles to reveal precious nutrients. These small excavations directly ease the thirst of the warthog in such harsh conditions. In this miniature desert, the waterholes quickly become life-saving supply stations for many other species. A single act of survival has unintentionally paved the way for the whole community. Nearby, another way of life reaches toward the sky with pride. Under the thorny canopy, the silhouette of a giraffe stands as still as a statue. Tanzania's national animal strives to reach the fresh, tender leaves at towering heights. Their extraordinary body structure is truly a masterpiece of natural engineering. That iconic long neck is not the result of extra vertebrae. It is actually a spectacular lengthening of each individual bone. This unique evolution allows them to claim a food source at heights that are otherwise unreachable. A long, nimble tongue weaves through sharp thorns to harvest precious sustenance. During the dry season, when ground plants wither, the high canopy serves as the final lifeline. However, the stillness of this gentle giant masks a fragile reality. The future for these giants is becoming uncertain amidst harsh shifts. Their living space is shrinking fast under the weight of an ever-changing world. Crossing the sun-drenched plains, the rhythm of life demands a faster and more intense pace than ever. Herds of impala move with care, looking like natural-born dancers of the flats. Every stride they take is a perfect blend of grace and breathtaking speed. When the dry season takes away the green grass, instinct forces these antelope to adapt at once. They turn to harvesting nutrients from leaves and shrubs to keep going. This dietary flexibility is the key that helps them hold their ground during a drought. Yet, searching for a meal in open spaces always comes with extreme risks. They serve as a vital link, providing essential energy for the entire food web. The presence of these animals keeps this vast ecosystem running in a state of balance. To avoid being the evening meal, they must remain in a state of constant, high alert. Their ears twitch incessantly to catch the faintest sound carried by the wind. The moment a threat appears, they release a burst of hidden energy to make their escape. People often refer to them as kings, but in this unforgiving landscape, a crown is merely a burden without an army to back it up. A nomadic male lion. Solitude is not a lifestyle choice. When a male lion is cast out from the pride, it is a whole new ballgame. The hunting success rate for a coalition of lions can reach 30%, but for a lone wanderer, that figure drops by more than half. His focus today is a herd of Cape buffalo. A mature bull weighs nearly 900 kilograms with horns capable of piercing the hide of any hunter. For a solitary lion, engaging a full-grown buffalo is not an act of bravery. It is biting off more than he can chew. He must choose wisely. The lion makes use of every patch of grass, lowering the center of gravity of his 190-kilogram frame to the absolute limit. Every muscle is coiled like a spring. A bittersweet reality, but that is simply the way of the world. Savanna. In this place, nature does not build life based on compassion, but on the most rigorous selection. Seen from space, it is a magnificent tapestry of light and dust, but within, energy is constantly recycled through the pursuit and the final transition. Those who find themselves separated from the group are forced to face a stark reality. When the sun rises, they must hit the ground running to outpace the fastest pursuer or stand stronger than the most assertive challenger. Next, let us observe the lone wanderers. Beings that have chosen or were forced into a position where they must face the unyielding nature of the grasslands against all odds without any assistance. If you think a hungry lion is the most daunting sight on the plains, you might want to think twice before crossing paths with an African elephant in a state of must. This is a real-life version of the Incredible Hulk, and it stems from a chemical surge from within. These male elephants are often solitary wanderers. Unlike the peaceful image of a herd guided by a matriarch, the males typically strike out on their own once they reach maturity. They roam or form loose associations until they find a group of females during the breeding season. But what if the breeding season arrives and they have not found their special someone? It is a difficult situation. Must is a recurring biological phenomenon in mature males, and it makes them a force to be reckoned with for anyone or anything that enters their field of vision. During this phase, the testosterone levels in this giant's bloodstream can soar to 60 times the normal amount. It is like drinking 100 cups of espresso all at once, while feeling incredibly intense. In its mind right now, the entire world is a potential adversary, especially when it encounters a worthy opponent. At this stage, the elephant's brain chemistry is heavily influenced by hormones, making them tough as nails as they lose the ability to register physical discomfort. The confrontation only concludes when they regain their composure and call it a day. Another giant emerges, the only hoofed wanderer that is quite literally head and shoulders above an elephant's field of vision. But this is not a solitary male who is feeling a bit hot under the collar. This is a single mother, and she is right on the verge of welcoming a new life into the world. Given her towering stature, her little one is about to experience a tumble from a height of about 2 meters. Welcoming a new life into the world is certainly no walk in the park. The mother might find herself feeling a bit down for the count for just a fleeting moment. But she must find the inner strength to get back on her feet and rise with resilience. We often get the wrong idea about the spotted hyena. A shadowy figure, a dedicated member of nature's cleanup crew. Yet, if you look closely into those eyes, you will find a mind that is sharp as a tack and a level of patience that is truly remarkable. When it comes to the mindset of seeking a meal, hyenas are absolute masters at reading between the lines of any situation. Here, we are witnessing one of the Savanna's more somber chapters, and it is a bitter pill to swallow. The mother giraffe is currently navigating the heavy weight of saying a final goodbye to her little one. Her calf's journey reached its conclusion just as it was entering the world, showing how life can sometimes throw a curveball. A powerful maternal instinct makes it hard for the mother to call it a day and move on. She uses her tall frame to shield the tiny form from any uninvited guests who might be lingering. But across the way, this spotted hyena has already caught wind of the recent passing from 3 kilometers away, thanks to a sense of smell so keen it can pick up organic changes in the breeze. The spotted hyena possesses the most substantial brain relative to its body mass among the meat-eating community of Africa, especially the prefrontal cortex that handles strategizing and finding a way forward. He recognizes that attempting to go toe-to-toe with a protective mother giraffe is definitely not in the cards. A single powerful movement from a giraffe's leg could bring an abrupt end to the day for even a lion, and this hyena has no desire to push his luck. He stands there, not as a challenger, but as a silent shadow. He senses the exhaustion, the heavy heart, and the gradual acceptance that is beginning to wash over the mind of that gentle giant. Time is truly on the side of the hyena. There is no need for a messy struggle nor those eerie cackles. The spotted hyena simply and quietly gathers the reward for its patience. Sometimes, in the struggle for survival, the strongest individual is not the one with the heaviest strike, but the one who can wait the longest until the opponent decides to throw in the towel. If the grasslands are the stage for open pursuits, then the river is a theater of deception. As we approach the end of 2025, hydrological studies in the sub-Saharan Africa region show that rivers are becoming more unpredictable due to extreme weather patterns. Water sources are receding, turning the remaining watering holes into mandatory gathering points. This is known as the edge effect, a place where species density reaches its peak and where the frequency of heightened conflict is off the charts. In this place, the rules of the dry land go out the window. The agility of an antelope or the teamwork of a pack of wild dogs are rendered useless. That calm surface provides absolute concealment for jaws capable of immense pressure that are simply in a league of their own. In the Savanna, there is an unwritten rule. Never let your guard down, even if you have just narrowly escaped a precarious situation. This female kudu has just made a spectacular getaway from a pack of African wild dogs. Hunters with a success rate of up to 80% by leaping straight into the home of a Nile crocodile. This is not just a creature, it is a flawless biological design that has endured for over 200 million years without needing to change the blueprint. With the length of a small bus and weighing nearly 700 kilograms, this titan is the definition of quiet, patient resolve. We often see them sunbathing together on the sandbanks, but do not let that communal appearance pull the wool over your eyes. Nile crocodiles are extreme individualists. Unlike the pack of wild dogs standing regretfully on the shore, those who value teamwork, this Nile crocodile is a lone gladiator. Crocodiles have the ability to slow their heart rate to just a few beats per minute and remain concealed underwater for hours on end. Their backs are covered in osteoderms, small bony plates that act as armor and a way to regulate body temperature. But the true equipment lies in the jaws. When they snap shut, the pressure creates a force of up to 260 kilograms per square centimeter. To help you visualize, that power is 30 times stronger than a heavyweight boxer's punch and is enough to splinter the femur of a large greater kudu with the greatest of ease. The poor kudu thought the water would provide sanctuary from the sharp teeth of the dogs, unaware that she had just crossed paths with a being possessing the most powerful bite on the planet. In this river, there is no room for sympathy. There is only stillness, the snap, and a total disappearance beneath the murky depths. The crocodile does not need to chase its meal to the point of exhaustion. It simply waits for the world to bring the meal on a silver platter. A harsh arrangement of fate, is it not? If solitude for a lion is a sentence, for an African wild dog, it is a profound psychological struggle. Imagine you are part of the world's most precise Swiss watch mechanism, and suddenly you find yourself out of gear. This wild dog is facing something even more daunting than physical marks: broken heart syndrome, or what medical professionals call Takotsubo syndrome in animals. African wild dogs thrive on incredibly tight social connections. When separated from the pack, cortisol levels in their blood soar, weakening the immune system and reflex capabilities. It is not just hurting from the marks upon its skin, it is slowly losing its way due to the weight of solitude. And when you falter, the pursuers appear immediately. The spotted hyena. These are not merely scavengers, they are the most resilient opportunists of the plains. An African wild dog weighs about 25 kilograms, while its challenger weighs twice as much, around 60 kilograms, making this a tall order to overcome. But this wild dog does not simply surrender. It is the spirit of a true warrior. This is a true test of wills. On one side is a hunter full of energy from finding a vulnerable target, while on the other is a lone soul clinging to the last ray of hope to reunite with its family. In behavioral psychology, this resistance is known as the defiance of the one with their back against the wall. If it cannot demonstrate strength right now, it will transform from a hunter into a mere statistic on the hyena's evening menu. This demanding arena does not care who you once were. It only cares how long you can remain upright before the journey ends. From afar, the Great Migration appears as an impenetrable living fortress made of more than 2 million souls. But for the hunters waiting at the edge of the brush, this vast crowd is merely an illusion. The pursuers do not challenge the entire herd. They execute a campaign of forced isolation. The objective is to break the flow of the movement. When a wildebeest is separated from the unified mass of the herd, it becomes a solitary, nameless entity facing its final chapter without any assistance. Nature is quite unyielding when it comes to serving its own brand of justice. The massive crowd will continue to march on, never looking back, leaving behind the companion who has just become a lone figure. As the dry season approaches, they must step on it to pursue the cooling rains. From this perspective, the migration is not the journey of a collective group, but rather millions of individual struggles unfolding at the same time. We will witness how the hunters select their black sheep, transforming a bustling scene of life into a theater of absolute solitude. The objective for today is the zebra. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover when it comes to those black and white stripes, as these creatures are muscular running machines that truly mean business. A kick from a zebra's hind leg carries enough force to shatter a seeker's jaw if they aren't on their toes. In the world of the lion, the females are the architects of the strategy. Just take a look at how they go about their business. In the intense warmth of the dry season, every bit of energy spent on a pursuit that doesn't pan out brings them one step closer to reaching their limit. Because of that, they make sure to never let any effort go to waste. It is a display of calculated efficiency that truly gets the job done. While the rest of the zebras carry on as if it were business as usual, one of their own has transitioned into the vital nourishment that fuels the next generation of lions. There is no sentiment involved here, only the grand design of biological balance that keeps everything on an even keel. If lions are the tanks, then cheetahs are the Formula One racing cars of the Savanna, truly in a league of their own. But to reach a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, that remarkable ability comes at a cost. Take a look at this cheetah coalition. They head out to find a meal during the height of the midday sun, while every other seeker is taking a breather and relaxing beneath the shade of a tree. They want to make the most of the window when the coast is clear of any potential friction. During the noon hours, prominent seekers like lions or hyenas usually take it easy, which makes it much less likely that a meal will be disturbed by others. In tandem, neighbors like the wildebeest are often running on fumes and react slowly due to a lack of water. Still, this approach is a high-stakes roll of the dice. A single cheetah usually doesn't have the physical power to bring a 200-kilogram adult wildebeest's journey to a close on its own. But this is truly where the beauty of teaming up shines through. This encounter often stretches on and leaves both sides feeling like they have run out of steam. The cheetah has to pant heavily to catch its breath and cool down before beginning its meal, and that is precisely when it is at its most exposed. As the world's fastest sprinter, it still finds itself needing to watch its back while eating, worried that its hard-earned reward might be whisked away. It turns out that life isn't always a bed of roses, even when you are a top-tier Olympic athlete. Let's circle back to the huntresses who are enjoying their zebra banquet. Only 2 of them remain, young seekers who are still wet behind the ears and didn't contribute much to the pursuit. There are only slim pickings left, yet they won't even be able to finish their meal to their heart's content. This is a coalition. However, the fact that they do not arrive together and engage in scuffles over a meal suggests they are not on the same page like other alliances. This is typical of coalitions formed by nomadic males who are strangers to one another. These alliances usually consist of only 2 to 3 males, forming a looser bond that is prone to disagreements. It is a marriage of convenience, built more on necessity than on affection. They need one another to stand against other groups eyeing their territory. Yet when a meal is present, their royal instincts come to the forefront. These skirmishes are necessary to re-establish the social hierarchy. Science refers to this as intra-coalition competition. The victor gets to call the shots and claim the most nutritious portions to maintain his physical edge. If one sustained a significant injury during this internal struggle, the entire alliance would fall apart and they would soon be replaced by a younger, stronger pair. It is a delicate balance, much like walking a tightrope. One must be powerful enough to dominate a companion, yet wise enough not to permanently harm them. A complex puzzle is unfolding right here on this dusty grass. Still, this is not nearly as somber as the story taking place in the receding watering hole. If there ever were a candidate for the title of the most unfortunate youngster in Africa, it would be this little fellow right here. A young hippopotamus separated from its mother during the dry season. For a creature whose sensitive skin requires constant hydration, being stranded on land under this sun can lead to the end of one's journey. But the hardship does not end there. Just look at what he must endure.
I know it's nature,
They're going to take it to pieces.
A hippopotamus's skin may be thick, but it is extremely susceptible to microbes if it becomes abraded in these parched, sweltering conditions. This little one has been holding his own like a true warrior, enduring dozens of nips and shoves. But the reality is, his chances of pulling through are slim to none. Without mother's milk to provide vital protection, his skin is cracking from dehydration and his injuries are beginning to decline under the presence of swarming flies. He is fighting an uphill battle. His resilience is truly admirable, but nature does not hand out trophies for effort. Nature only recognizes the final outcome. And here, sadly, the outcome was determined the moment he drifted away from his mother's side. A solitary warrior might just run out of steam before ever having the chance to become a titan of the river. The rainy season arrives. It brings more than just gentle raindrops. It carries a force that can level everything in its path. At this moment, the river becomes a profound challenge for survival. It is a liquid giant ready to sweep away anyone without enough weight to hold their ground. The unexpected occurs. The pressure of the floodwaters can reach several tons per square meter. For such a small soul, it is a moment where the stakes are high. Yet, nothing is more powerful than a mother's instinct. Watch how the mother responds. Swift, decisive, without a moment's hesitation. With a weight of nearly 4,000 kilograms, she transforms herself into a living seawall. The mother uses her powerful trunk to keep her little one close. This is an urgent response from the central nervous system, where emotional intelligence and physical strength become one. One slip and they could both be lost to the stream. But resilience wins the day. The mother guides her calf close to the bank, safe and sound. But there is little sanctuary in the land of the nomadic male lions, whether it is the dry season or the lush rainy months. This young male possesses a golden mane. It would be quite a sight if he were the leader of a pride. However, he is still on his own. After wandering for many days, he catches the scent of a meal and draws near. An elder male lion is sharing a feast. This old gentleman no longer has the strength to challenge for the crown. He truly bit off more than he could chew. The youngster mistook the mercy shown to the elder as an open invitation for himself. The result? A decisive confrontation. Why such a stern response? Because the leader knows that a well-fed young competitor will grow strong. And a strong lion will soon return to give him a run for his money. Without food, the youngster will lose his edge, and the leader's position will remain secure. A victor rises, his mane soaked with rainwater and crimson, letting out a roar to claim his territory. The one who came up short, he must depart with marks of the struggle that might take many months to mend. That is, if he manages to pull through. Here, glory belongs only to the last man standing. A new day dawns. After the encounter with the wandering males, a member of the coalition has earned the approval of the lionesses. The pride is in need of a leader, and he is the cream of the crop. Why do the females accept him? Take a look at that mane. A dark and thick mane signifies high testosterone levels and even greater prowess in a struggle. In the eyes of the lionesses, he is the real deal to ensure the next healthy generation. Mating season is drawing near. This ascension occurs with surprising speed. These female hunters lower themselves to show their respect. It is a necessity to maintain the strongest bloodline. A new leader has emerged. The pride now has a new protector, one ready to stand his ground against anyone who dares to question the newly established order. Welcome the new sovereign to a position that is fit for a king. The migration season draws to a close, and the long-standing citizens of the Savanna are returning home. For a leopard, this is simply the revival of a world-class menu. Proud, solitary, and spot-on with its precision. With highly developed muscles in its shoulders and neck, a 60-kilogram leopard can carry a meal weighing twice its own body weight up 5 meters into a vertical tree. Why put in such an effort? Because he knows that down on the ground, a stern reality is lurking. The rewards of a perfect hunt can be taken away in the blink of an eye by those with greater power but less motivation to do the work. The leopard takes pride in its skill. It looks down on the world from above, enjoying its meal in absolute solitude, feeling like it is on top of the world. A quiet dominance, where a misstep by another is a gift for the hunter. As the migration returns, the lionesses cannot look the other way. They have waited for a very long time throughout the dry season for the moment when millions of others return to the plains. But they overlook one vital detail. In the world of lions, this is known as the feeding hierarchy. The mature male always holds absolute priority. Not only is he larger and stronger, but he also holds supreme authority, and most importantly, he serves as the shield for the entire pride. All those who were previously enjoying the meal are encouraged to move aside. This firm approach is how the male ensures he gets the lion's share while asserting his absolute standing. If he were to let the females go first, his influence would go out the window. There are no exceptions. A proud ruler never feels the need to explain himself. He simply takes what he wants because he is the one calling the shots. The patience shown by the pride is the price paid for having a guardian to keep their home safe from uninvited guests. This is a moment of unvarnished truth. After putting every ounce of energy into that remarkable sprint, the cheetah is in its most delicate state. Its body temperature has reached a critical level, and its lungs are yearning for oxygen. And then the prideful sovereign appears. This encounter is so brief it is almost hard to believe. The cheetah is wise enough not to put its future on the line for one meal. Male lions have this down to a science. He knows that following the hunters can be much more productive than doing the heavy lifting himself. It is a blend of pride and a formidable kind of wisdom. The cheetah stands there, watching its hard work disappear right under its nose. In this kingdom, an uncompromising nature is not a sign of malice. It is simply the name of the game for survival. The male lion's only goal is to remain the top dog at the peak of the food chain. And at times, that means being a bit of an imposing presence. His pride is sustained by the setbacks of others. This is the reality of the Savanna as the sun begins to set. Those with the most influence take what they wish, while the others must settle for what is left behind. After having its meal claimed by a male lion and being encouraged to move along, our cheetah wanders into a whole new territory. It is like the rough side of the tracks, home to some truly gritty characters, baboons. These are some of the sharpest, most spirited, and most dedicated primates when it comes to keeping a score. A group of agitated baboons can turn a quiet afternoon stroll into a whole new ballgame. Why is that? Because baboons simply don't back down from a confrontation. They are equipped with canines measuring 5 centimeters long, actually outpacing those of a lion, and they follow a very disciplined military-like social order. The one who has more at stake is usually the one who decides to beat a hasty retreat. For that reason, our feline Ferrari decided it was best to simply turn right back around. If the cheetah is the definition of finesse, then this is a whole different animal of raw, unbridled power. The black rhino, a solitary giant with a temperament that is more of a wild card than the Wall Street stock market. Scientists have observed that even though their vision is nothing to write home about, as they cannot see anything clearly beyond 30 meters, their senses of smell and hearing function like high-grade military radar. An adult male requires at least 4 to 5 square kilometers to call his own, and he marks his territory by leaving a hefty deposit and then using his hind legs to scatter it across the surroundings. A rather pungent way of putting up a nameplate, but it certainly gets the job done. The clash of the living tanks. There is no specialized technique, no clever maneuvering to step aside, just pure muscle and the resilience of skin that is 5 centimeters thick. An impact from a rhino's horn can lead to deep health complications or internal fluid concerns. The individual who ends up behind the 8 ball during these territorial disputes may eventually become an opportunity for others, the scavengers. Scientific evidence reveals that, for the spotted hyena, securing up to 70% of their own nourishment through active pursuit is simply par for the course. However, whenever a complimentary meal is on the table, they certainly won't look a gift horse in the mouth. With a bite force that rivals an industrial press, sturdy enough to break down the heavy femur of an elephant, they are truly nature's most efficient biological recycling units. The black-backed jackals are like the sharp-as-a-tack legal experts arriving at the scene of the event. They are not equipped to stand toe-to-toe with the hyenas, so they opt to skillfully whisk away small morsels instead. They are swift, daring, and always ready to seize the day when an opportunity appears. The coordination between the hyenas and jackals ensures that not a single milligram of protein is left to waste. But if you happen to think they are the final members of the cleanup crew, you are barking up the wrong tree. Just take a look up at the sky. Ature's very own high-altitude surveillance drones. Vultures can soar as high as 11,000 meters, matching the cruising altitude of a commercial airliner, just to catch a scent of things returning to the earth. Their stomachs contain an acid so potent that it can neutralize even anthrax bacteria or rabies. They are the physicians who keep widespread health crises at bay for the entire Serengeti. As night falls, the Serengeti does not go to sleep. It simply changes shifts. The cleanup crews have finished their rounds, and territorial boundaries have been redrawn with marks of the struggle and distinct scents, a perfect cycle of matter and energy. But the wild world is not just about high-stakes confrontations or earthly remains. It is also home to citizens of pure beauty and extraordinary talents that we often miss the boat on. Take a little breather, because in the next chapter, we will go in search of the residents who bring a sense of wonder to the Savanna. Sit tight. The splendor of the Savanna is waiting for you just ahead. Beyond the massive migrations and the power struggles for the throne among the big cats, the Serengeti and the Masai Mara are also home to some very special citizens. They do not require massive herd sizes or absolute physical strength to make their mark on the map of survival. Every individual is a masterwork of design, a sophisticated piece of the puzzle within the most complex ecosystem on the planet. In this place, survival is defined by precision and tactics that have been refined down to a science. Take a look at that pristine white uniform contrasting with that chestnut brown cloak. The African fish eagle. Don't mistake this fellow for his distant North American cousin, the bald eagle. This bird possesses its own unique aura, the confidence of someone who knows they own some of the most prime real estate on the planet. Science never lies about the favor evolution has bestowed upon this species. The eyes of the African fish eagle have a cone cell density 5 times higher than that of a human, allowing it to see through the complex refraction of the water's surface from a height of 50 meters. But the real secret weapon isn't in the eyes, it's in the feet. Biological studies have shown that the undersides of their talons are covered with tiny spikes called spicules. Just imagine them as the non-slip spikes of a professional mountain climber. They allow him to maintain a firm grip on the slipperiest fish, even when the target tries to move vigorously with significant force. However, life at this riverside office isn't always a walk in the park. To maintain his status, the African fish eagle must be an expert in territorial psychology. See that dry branch over there? From this spot, he lets out a resonant call, a melody we call the voice of Africa. In reality, though, it's a formal announcement of territorial ownership for an individual or a pair. Field research at Lake Victoria shows that African fish eagle pairs remain loyal to each other for a lifetime. They also have the ability to coordinate efforts to encourage larger predators like the African harrier hawk or even the marabou stork to move along if they dare to venture near the nest. Precise down to the millisecond. That isn't luck. It's the result of a brain programmed to solve physics problems regarding angles and resistance. But even with all that talent, there is often more than meets the eye. The African fish eagle is a professional outlaw in its own right. If he spots a heron that has just secured a delicious fish, he won't hesitate to stage a daylight heist. Leaving behind the authoritative office of the Riverside Regional Director, we journey further inland, where the typical rules of subtlety are thrown out the window. In the Serengeti, if you don't possess the sheer strength to overshadow others, you must have an appearance that simply cannot be ignored. And right here, on the parched branches of the acacia thorns, we encounter a fellow who is doing exactly that in the loudest way possible. With at least 8 different shades of color across its body, this creature looks like the palette of an impressionist painter that has just been tipped over. Folks call them the jewels of the sky, but don't let that dapper appearance lead you astray. Behind those technicolor feathers is the heart of a true competitor, a punk rock character who is fearless to a fault. But why are they so radiant in a land filled with dust and camouflage? The answer lies in the concept of structural coloration. The brilliant turquoise on their wings doesn't just come from pigment, but from the way microscopic structures on the feathers interact with light. Even more fascinatingly, avian vision data indicates that the lilac-breasted roller has the capacity to see the ultraviolet spectrum. This means that to other birds, this stylish fellow is even more dazzling and prominent than what human eyes can perceive. It is a vibrant advertising system announcing, "I am in the pink of health, I have excellent genes, and this territory is mine." Not as flamboyant as the lilac-breasted roller, the secretary bird is renowned for its size, elegant appearance, and sharp abilities. With long black feathers extending from the back of its head, resembling the quill pens of a Victorian-era secretary, this creature possesses an unmistakable look. But don't let that office appearance pull the wool over your eyes. This is a professional specialist optimized for close-range interactions on the ground. While other birds of prey spend most of their time observing from above, the secretary bird chooses to walk dozens of miles every day like a persistent tracker, never missing a single inch of ground beneath its feet. A single strike from a secretary bird can generate an impact force of up to 195 newtons. Let's run the numbers. That figure is about 5 to 6 times the body weight of the bird itself. But what is truly remarkable is the speed. The strike occurs within 15 milliseconds. To give you a better picture, a human blink takes 150 milliseconds, which means this bird can deliver 10 high-impact strikes in the time it takes you to blink just once. The cobra, despite possessing reflexes among the fastest in the reptile world, is left completely at a loss. The cobra, despite possessing reflexes among the fastest in the reptile world, is left completely at a loss. Its nervous system simply doesn't have enough time to send a signal to react. The bone structure of the secretary bird's legs features a particularly high mineral density in the shin area, allowing them to absorb the counterforce from those heavy strikes without sustaining any harm. It is the perfect combination of a sledgehammer and the legs of a ballet dancer. A precision hunter who doesn't need sharp teeth or typical eagle talons. The secretary bird concludes its hunt with absolute precision and a calm, formidable demeanor. This bird is the very reflection of efficiency. It doesn't show off its strength unnecessarily, only delivering a strike when a successful outcome is in the bag. In the world of giants in the Serengeti, this secretary still knows how to make everyone look up, or rather look down with profound reverence from the height of those supermodel legs. Their existence is a testament that, in nature, sometimes the best way to reach the top is to keep your feet on the ground and be ready to sweep aside anything that stands in your way. If you think you have seen everything on these grasslands just because you have a pair of expensive binoculars, then you'd better brace yourself to be fooled. Out in the borderlands between the savanna and the dense forest, nature does not play a straightforward game. It plays a game of hide and seek. And in that game, there is a character who has elevated the act of vanishing into a sophisticated art form that makes even the most seasoned trackers second-guess their own vision. Let's welcome the greater kudu, the one folks call the ghost of the brush. In the world of antelopes, if the wildebeest are the noisy blue-collar workers, the greater kudu is the reclusive aristocrat. Just take a look at those horns. That is more than just a pair of horns. It is a spiral architectural masterpiece that can reach a length of 1 8/10 meters. To earn this majestic look, a male must spend at least 6 long years shaping them through 3 perfect twists. However, that magnificent headgear comes with a cost that is no picnic to manage. Imagine trying to navigate a 1950 Cadillac through a narrow New York City alleyway. That is exactly how a male kudu feels when weaving through the acacia thorns. To avoid getting hung up, they employ a technique that leaves behavioral scientists in awe. They tilt their chin up, tucking their horns flat against their back to glide through the tight spots. It is a contradictory blend of flashy size and unbelievable agility. The true secret to their survival over millions of years does not lie in those horns, but in their wardrobe. Those white vertical stripes are not there for fashion. They serve to break up the animal's physical outline in the dappled light of the open woodlands. An optical study from 2024 confirmed that at distances over 20 meters, the eyes of a lion or a leopard find it incredibly challenging to distinguish the form of a greater kudu from a background of dry branches. This fellow doesn't even need to make a run for it. He simply remains still and lets the laws of physics regarding light handle the rest. And let's not overlook those ears. These radar dishes can rotate 180 degrees independently to pick up even the most subtle frequencies. The latest auditory data indicates that the greater kudu is capable of detecting the snap of a dry twig from as far away as 500 meters when the air is still. To them, the world is not a series of pictures, but a highly detailed map of sounds. Once those ears pick up an unfamiliar signal, that entire 300-kilogram frame of muscle will vanish into the deep woods as smoothly as a puff of smoke, leaving the one giving chase scratching their head, wondering if they actually saw a living creature or just a trick of the Serengeti heat. Even their vocalization is a surprising departure from their noble appearance. It is the loudest bark among all the antelope species, a firm warning signal sent out to every resident of the thickets. But once that sound fades, a blanket of quiet immediately settles back over everything. The greater kudu will return to his shadows, continuing his life as the ultimate master of invisibility. Out in the Masai Mara, spotting a mature male kudu remains a true test of one's patience. They serve as a reminder that in a world full of those who like to blow their own horn regarding strength and speed, sometimes the ultimate winner is the one who knows how to stay quiet and blend into the void. An elegant, proud existence, yet always staying on your toes with every single breath. But the zebra is not the most challenging target for a lion. On the savanna, there are always giants large enough to challenge the most powerful hunters. Together, we have just journeyed through the most profound chapters of the struggle for existence for the young ones on the wild savanna. Which creature in today's episode has inspired you to perceive the wilderness in a new light? Is it the courageous lion cub or the resourceful leopard? Please share your reflections in the comments section below. Your understanding serves as a meaningful tribute to these magnificent wild spirits. Remember to select like and subscribe to join me on my upcoming expeditions, where we shall continue to decipher the most mysterious codes of survival. And if you wish to explore further into the lives of other wild beings, continue your discovery at Win or Die, Deadliest Battles for Survival or Lion Attack, the Mapogo Battle for Survival.